What's happening, everybody? Yeah. Sensei. Welcome in, everybody. I've got a 16 by 20 inch canvas for you today. It's Paint with Josh, in case you didn't know who you were watching. Of course. It's your old friend, Paint with Josh. We're back in the studio with you again on a 16 by 20 inch canvas. A little bit of purple, a little bit of blue, a little bit of madder carmine. A little bit of blue, a little bit of madder carmine, a little bit of blue, a little bit of madder carmine, a little bit of blue, a little bit of purple. All over the place. And then, as long as we go across it with some white paint, it should interact and change into the most gorgeous things you've ever seen before in your life. Remember, you can grab this one if you go to PaintWithJosh.com. Check this out. Into the purpley, bluey clouds. Oh, see, we can get down into that pink too. Poosh! Just a little baby bit of all those things. Just get all sorts of pretty. The more that we mix it, see down over that pinkish color, you get the blue, you get the pinks. Oh, it's fantastic. Out into the purpley clouds. The tri-colored clouds are my most favoritist of all to paint, right? Soft, simple, easy. Easy. Blend that sucker out down around the bottom. Now, let's say we had a little bit more paint. Rock on, by the way. I don't know why I hold. Does anyone else hold their palette like this? Or is it just me because I'm a rocker? Rock on, baby. I almost got paint all over myself. Right into here, a little bit more of our white. I think it's just because it gives me more like pressure. I can move around on this thing. A little bit more of our white paint out into here. We need to cut across this part, which should be blended to a softness that you can barely even tell that it's there. Right? Just that soft little area. And then what happens if we come down this way with some more new paint? Pop it up, get it all crazy. All sorts of nuts. Just dumping it on wherever it wants to live, it's gonna live. And then we can come back with our brush and start to shape it out again. Maybe up into the pinky colors. Ooh, oh, it's gorgeous. Down into the blue. And the more that we mush it, the more it'll mix in and start to blend and become softer and softer and softer. So you guys have to decide when you want to stop your mixaging, right? How far do you want to mix it around? How much of those colors do you want to see? How much do you want to keep? How much do you want to lose? It's all up to you guys. All dependent on your bit of mixing, right? Where you lay your undercolors down. Everything depends on you, no one else. Let's get out here. Maybe we'll take a little soft little floater. Down like that. Ping! Right? Just a little bit. Nothing too crazy. All we need, grab it, mix it down, right? Keeping it very flat out here just by dragging on it, pulling it over. As long as we have those little areas where we have our light and our dark sort of disconnected, it will stay looking like a separate cloud. As soon as you get all the colors out there looking exactly the same, that's when nobody can tell what the heck's going on anymore in your scene, because you've got way too many things all the same color. Right? Say if we wanted to pop in another little section of cloud, wherever. Maybe you want to come down in front of that guy, right? All up to us. And the layers, guys. And you come back in and you mix it. Just grabbing it very lightly, mixing it down over those little prettier colors. And then we can decide where we want it to stay. Oh, fabulous. Over here, a little bit more pressure. Right? Woo! I just love it. I love it. You guys love it. We all love it. It's fantastic. Look at all those different colors, guys and gals and painting pals. It's lovely. Dude, we could even get a whole nother bit right in there too. Just one more little piece of depth, right? Creating depth is so simple. As long as you got light, dark, light, dark, light, dark, light, dark. Bang! Depth for 10 miles. You can do it too, guys. It's not just me. Now, out here, let's say we're going to pick up on some of this guy. Our little crazy little cloud. It's going to have to come up like this, down along the flat side, be a little bit bigger here, a little bit bigger there, a lot bigger over on here. There we go. Now, we're going to very lightly, we don't really give two craps about what the reflection of the clouds look like. All it is just a bit of background color for our foreground to stand off of. So don't stress and worry too much about what your reflective clouds look like, right? The more we go down, we're gonna get a little bit more paint. Now let's come in with a bigger shape. This crazy dude, he's up into here, he's all over, right? Not really meaning to have it look like any certain thing beyond what it is below and so above, right? So dragging it upward now, trying not to let it contact our next piece of cloud, trying to leave that dark color down inside, right? The more we mix it and mix it, you just get a little upside down bit of cloud. Not everything's gonna be perfect, right? Fabulous. And then we don't see this guy way down in our cloudy reflections. Just like so, you guys, especially on the bottom, and a real hard, lots of pressure, pull on that sucker, and that way it's a little bit less detailed than our clouds are up above. Now, let's go grab in some grassy poos over here. I'm feeling like we got some pinky grassy goodness. You guys feel it? I'm feeling it. I just love the color too. A little bit of the white, a little bit of our madder carmine, right down into here. Tapping it into our brush, getting it all inside the little guy. We don't need too much of the white to show through. Okay, and let's say we're gonna have to cut up into our cloud. So let's start from over here. Let's start rocking back, keeping it real low until we can get up into the clouds, right? Very small amount of dark sky from all the way back there is gonna be saved. Right, so we'll come around here, we can flip our brush over, we'll do the exact same thing again. Tapping it in, back and forth and little things. And the more that we tap it, the more it's gonna look like this faraway little grassy bit of hill back there. But the Bob Ross brush is a little bit big for me, right, when you're doing grass. So let me show you a little different brush that we call the Paint with Josh brush. Okay? Paint with Josh brush, much thinner, much more, can get into tighter spaces. You see what I mean? It's not as crazy, especially when you load it with paint. So let's get in here, let's try the Paint with Josh brush. Over here, a little bit of our white, just like that on both sides of the brush. Into the madder carmine color, pulling it down, intermixing it, tapping our brush back up into the color, right? So that when we then have it on the bristles, we can wiggle them down, and get this nice sharp little deal out there. Let's say from here, we're gonna come tapping it in and rocking it back, and then we're gonna start dropping down our angles, right? So we're gonna stay about the same length right here, and it's gonna even drop as our grass gets a little longer, a little longer, a little longer. Over here in the night, you guys coming and tapping it in. Just like that, rocking it. Over here and over there, and then maybe we come down a little, and we tap in, and we start working in the color, and it starts mushing and pushing, and we get a little longer and a little further over here with these little guys. It's all intermixing with our colors and everything else, just being so precious. Just so precious. Down here we tap in, it gets very small off in the corner, and then every little time that we can, we bring it down a little bit. Right, so we're tapping it down a little, until it's much thicker on this side than it is way off in the distance on that side. Now, let's just imagine for a hot second. I want it a lot pinkier than that. So we're gonna go more into our madder carmine color. There we go. There's the pinky color we want. That Meaden paint is such a thin, light paint. You don't need to thin it down. It's just gorgeous. Just fantabulous. The more that we tap at it and mix it in, right, the more each time the little bristles hit the canvas and spread it out, the more grassy it starts to look. A little bit more of our white. Mix it down, because I don't need it to be too stinking bright out here, right? You just need it to be out here in the night. Little things, leaving little spaces. You can have differences. That's the best part about the grass, right? All the little different places that we get to go. Now, again, the more that we tap over it, the more it's going to kind of take away those details. And especially the further away we are, the less details we need to have in our grass. If you ask me, just my own opinion. we're not gonna see so many things being so far away. Now let's grab a little bit of our brown colors because we need to make some land. That land over here. We're gonna make some land underneath this little bit of grass. Which is why anytime we do reflective bits, I never like doing the reflections as much because you lose all the darkness in your water, right? Meaning we have to come back in and add our own little dark separator back in here. And just by kind of coloring it in, it's gonna get bigger and bigger, meaning our strokes getting more and more and more side to side as we come over this way, smaller as we get over that way. That way, our land will poke out into the water just a bit more on this side than it will over there, giving ourselves a little dark separator to work with under there, right? Little small, little dark separator is all you need sometimes, you guys. Let's come back in with our little grassy color, and let's start rocking over that grass just a little bit. Not every place has to be perfect, right? Don't have to have a straight line down across that thing. Just a couple little bits. Where you get our dark little mud down in there. The mud's growing. The grass is growing down over the mud. The mud's all soggy and nasty, right? Oh, but you get that darkness down underneath there. Now we need to come in with our palette knife, grab a little bit of our liquid white, which is very watery and runny, and run it through our titanium white, which is very much the opposite, very dry and firm paint. So we come over here. Let's start cutting in little things. Right, the more we come down, you drop it in, those little bits go back into our water, they come out onto our land, back over here, over there, little things, right? Now, let's come in with our 2-inch brush, right underneath this guy, very lightly, pull down, small, 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 small bits. Sometimes you gotta use more pressure than other times, right? Just to have that little kind of a spink, a little reflection of a watery bit, right? We're gonna pull these guys back and away along the edge of our land, and just like that, a couple little things out there in the day, right? Nothing has to be perfect. Maybe we come out a little bit further on some of these little guys, right? Again, maybe right out in the middle of the water even. You don't have to just be stuck on the land or attached to it, right? Out over there, a couple little streaks, little here, little there. We don't want to cover up too many bits of our sky, which is why we kept our reflective area in there, right? Now, let's say there was just a little place, where's my land area? Let's say there was a little walkway we could just get across this guy, right? And you could continue and bring your grass down around here and have a whole little cove, but what if we grabbed up our 2 brown colors again, just straight up on the brush, over here, and remember, we want it to be bigger as it gets over here. So let's start out. I'm going to start coming right in front of that water line. I don't even know why I put it there. Just like that. Over here, we're going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. See the brush? Bigger strokes. And then we're getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller as we go away. And now we'll have this piece of dirt, mud, some bit of land out here that we'll then be able to walk across. Right? Just gorgeous. Very straight. Lots of paint. Very wide over here. Helps it look like we can actually get out there and walk on that thing across the edge. Now let's take a bit of our plaque mix. We're going to need to make up a bit of our blue, black, and crimson in order to have our plaquey color. Remember, you can grab this painting if you go to PaintWithJosh.com. It's only 225 bristles. I'm telling you, free shipping around the world, I must be crazy. I'm going to add a little bit of plaque, just in a little dark area underneath, giving myself my own dark separator. Right? This is, again, part of the reason why, if we're on a black canvas, we like to keep the dark black color versus doing a reflective sky like that, because then you've got to go back and add in little things where you may not have thought you needed to before. All right, scrape them out over here. Adding a little of that darkness is all we need. Now, we need to take that dark color and pull down on it just a touch. Same that we did with our other guys, just very small, off to the side. Not trying to hit our wood. And you can see the more darkness that you have under there, the more raised up it looks, right? So what if we put a bit more under here? We'll let it get real flat out there, but it'll look like it's raising up over here. See what I mean? The more darkness that we've got underneath there, the more it looks like it's the level, this level on the side of the water is more sunk in, right? The lower tide. Way down there, guys. Over here, over there. And then, it's looking really cool. I like this one so far. Little bits. We can always go back in with just a small touch of our watery color. Come up and around this guy, right? Wherever we needed a little hint. Just a little hint. You never have to paint the whole thing, right? We don't want to see every bit of every single thing. Just throw some stuff back there and we'll be all set to go. Now, we do need to mix up a lot more of our plaque mix, and you never need to see your water line on the opposite side, right? We would have to be standing over here looking back this way to see this water line on that side. So you do not have to go in here and cut it around your other piece of lamp. Always remember that, guys. Just remember, you don't have to put it on both sides. You're never gonna see it all on both sides. So let's mix up some 3 dark colors. You guys go to PaintWithJosh.com, grab this painting, win a free gift right afterwards, right? We'll have a light party, and then we'll spin the old spinny winny wheel at the end of the show, and whatever comes off the wheel gets sent directly to the person who purchases this painting. So head over to PaintWithJosh.com and see what we've got over there. I'm gonna grab a little fan brush. Let's grab the old Paint with Josh number 8. Paint with Josh number 8, please. Reveal yourself, sir. Here he is. Right there. Gorgeous. Not too giantly big. All right, we're gonna run it down through the bristle, through the paint. And you can tell that these bristles bend a lot more than our GAC Doctor brushes, right? There's a lot more bristles in the GAC Doctor brush than there is in a Paint with Josh brush. And these bristles are synthetic hog hair versus natural hog hair. So there's not as many. They're much more flimsy, and you can do a lot cooler stuff with them. Like maybe, we're gonna have one big tree over here. Maybe we have a little guy out there like that. And he's got a little friend who lives right in here. Right? Just by placing our dark little tree trunks out there. And we're gonna go over our tree trunks. We're gonna start pushing in. The more we go down, the more we push in and push in and push in. And you get all these little branches going both ways. They don't have to be symmetrical. Let's pop them right down into the grass. Come back, get our grassy brush, go back through the grassy color. Start a little bit higher on one side, down in the middle, up on the other, right? Little ring. Tap this guy in the same. Right? Wherever we decide to put their base is where they're gonna live. Maybe he's got some friends out in the night. Maybe we'll put more trees in this one than we did in the last one. Right? Maybe. We can have all of our light coming in this way too. Okay, let's pop in another guy right here. Bang, right? You can tell that just based off of where the trunk is, that these branches might end up looking like they're gonna touch tips, right? Which I necessarily don't really like. You can always add something else or make your tree a bit bigger, right? And that way you don't look like it's too far apart. If you did every tree just like those two, it would look funny, right? Thank you for the gift, I love you guys. It would look funky if they were all split apart perfectly and just reaching out to touch the branches. All right, so let's come in with this guy, make him a little smaller. And let's take the center of the trunk and put it right down onto the tip of the branches. That way when we come out here and we start tapping in, we know that our branches are going to crisscross and they're gonna look a lot tighter and closer together, like little buddies out there in the night, right? Trying to get some water, trying to survive out in the night. Let's take another guy over here, by the way. Let's put in just a bit. I know I'm gonna have my big, I could do him right now too. I mean, I should use our flat brush, but we could do this guy too. We got our big guy coming down, bang, right? This guy will live down here in these big giant bushes. We got another little guy, boop, coming down like that. All depends on us, where we put it, how thick we're pushing, right? I usually use my flat brush instead of the Paint with Josh. We have a Paint with Josh flat brush that we like using for trunks like that, but we might as well do it all over right here, right? So let's see if we can get these guys to have some bit of land, some grassiness around them. Remember, going up, see what we're doing? It's very much like a U, starting up here, tapping it down, and then back up, and then back up, and then back up, and back up. It's like a little smiley face. It helps your trees look a lot more 3D than anything else, okay? Let's get down here. Let's put in another old guy. This guy's a little bit bigger. He's coming down from way up top. Boom! right? Landing in the grass, the pinky grass off in the night. We'll take our little brush over here and we'll start popping in little things. And the more that we go down, the more we start having to turn the brush. See, we can get it all on one side, or you turn it up the other way to force your branches out the other side, right? It's not just doing it magically, not just pushing in the brush and hoping that it's working correctly. We're doing it with a purpose, to have a certain shape, a certain feel out here in the night. Let's get another guy. We'll make this guy a lot taller, right? So that guy, he's a bigger, more of a bad butt kind of a tree, which means we're gonna start a lot more on our trunk, right, than we would up here, meaning that this guy is gonna grow down and down and down, getting further and further and further away from the center, right? He's almost as big right here just on his one side as this guy is for his whole tree. Okay? Go back in, get some more paint on the brush, start coming off the other side, because this tree, he's a monster compared to his little buddy. And as long as our branches intertwine, then we know we're gonna have a good time. We're gonna have a good time. If you pizza when you French fry, you're not gonna have a good time. Over there. Dabbing these little guys in just so their butt sits a little bit closer than those guys' butts in the background. Have a little bit of our pinky color over here. Start tapping in a little bit higher, then we'll work down, then we'll work up. All right, we'll work down, then we'll work up. Creating that rounded thing back in here. The more round it looks, to me anyway, the more realistic it is. Just in my own opinion. I don't know about you guys, but that's what I think. Over there, a couple little taps, a couple little things. In the night. A couple little bits of goodness. All right, come rocking down. Let's take our grass and roll it out over our dirt. It doesn't need to come all the way down. Right, out here, little things, tapping it in. Bang. That way we can walk off and over to the other side. Over to the other side, mateys. Now, let's do this part before we do the other part. Do this part before we do the other part. Since we've got enough of its reflective pieces, we're going to pop down just a couple things, right? Even that will turn into a reflection of a tree. Couple little bits back and forth, little things back and forth. Maybe he's got one in the middle like that. And I'm telling you that for a reason, guys, because when you come pull on it, look at how it extends. Look at how it fills up the whole rest, right? Instantly filling it and still leaving us with our little branchy details back there. Isn't that the coolest thing? All we're doing is not tapping on so much. We're not painting the whole dang tree. Right? A couple little guys out there. A couple things. Because as soon as we very lightly drag through them, it fills in those empty spots. And now all of a sudden we've got our reflections down in here. Very lightly swipe across these guys in the front. You can do it back here too if you've got the room. Swipe across. Just very soft. Right? That guy was coming down like this, so his butt needs to be like this. And go in, not that severe, but out like that. Bang. Perfect. Gorgeous. You guys. Shoo, guys. Swipe over. Couple little things out there reflecting down into the night. Now, let me show you that PaintWithJosh flat brush I was talking about. This is the old flat brush. It's very much like a little square out here on the end. But the brush, the bristles are very firm. They're very strong. Right? That way we can come up here, we can touch, and then push the whole stinking brush into the canvas as hard as we can push into it. Right? Trying to stay out of your guys' way. There we go. Full pressure on the brush. Makes our trunk stick out a little bit. Come over here. Let's grab this guy. Go down. More. Full. Boom. Full pressure on the brush makes it a little bit thicker. This guy being much thicker than that guy is going to make them look a lot closer together, don't you think? Just don't you think? Out there in the night, that's all we needed our flat brush for, by the way. Just one tree trunk. Had to get him dirty for no reason, basically. Just use it one time, put it away. All right, let's get out here. Let's grab our liner brush. We'll start adding our details of our branches and stuff, and then we'll add our highlights, throw some little bushies off the front here. It's gonna be fantastic, you guys. Right into the plaque. Get our odorless mineral spirits. It's very wet and very watery. That way, it will deposit off the brush without even having to really touch it very hard, right? A couple little bits here. Little branch off the side. Very thin, very small little line because we're barely even touching it. I'm not putting too much pressure on it in order for our bristles to bend and have to touch that thing. Very light little pressure, and that's why the branches can stay so sharp, because we're not barely touching it. We're just so softly, right? Take this guy a little bit harder, push him a little bit longer through. The guy in the background is just that, background. Don't worry about him. Once he's out there, we don't need to really decide or do anything about it. All right, our bigger branches crisscrossing in front of it will add our depth. And all these things, you can cut through your other tree over here, over there, off to the side, off to the races, all the way to the top. Whatever you want to go. Seriously. A little bit here, over there, off to the side again, adding more and more and more depth each time we do it. Now, each time that you do it as well, you're going to drop off your odorless mineral spirits. It's going to start to disappear. All right, so you got to go back, grab some more. That way our branches can stay very sharpish. Right? The more sharp they are, the better. Especially on our big foreground trees. Anytime you get a little stump out there, add a little bit of craziness to it. Throw a little bit off of one side. Not every branch is going to be fully seen. Right? So these ones at the bottom would be a little bit bigger, a little bit thicker, coming off the edge, crisscrossing out, cutting in front of our little friend. Out here, we do it again. Over there, and crisscross again, right? All it's doing is adding depth every time we do it, especially if we stay in the light colors. If you're not in the light colors, though, you're not going to see your little branchies. Bang, a little bit out here in the night. In the night, flicking out. Not every branch gets to grow, remember that. You have these little guys that come out at different lengths. Maybe that guy's poking straight out down here at the bottom, because they'll grow out and they then end up breaking off. Right? What are you going to do if your branch breaks? Well, you just keep growing, make a new one. That's what the tree does anyway. Over here, down and around, more little things. Now, let's go add some highlights on these guys. Let's go with the highlighty colors. They're going to be fantastic. Remember, guys, let me know where you're watching from, too. Where are you watching from around the world? Check into old Paint with Josh. Let me know. Let me know. All right. Get the liner brush all dried up. We'll probably have to use them again a little bit later, but get them all dried up and see what you guys are talking about. What are you guys talking about? For always being here, you never know how much you inspire. Thanks, Robert. I appreciate it. I was on the fence about whether or not to come back tonight. My first painting didn't sell, which is okay, right? We can't sell every painting, of course. But I was on the fence on whether or not to come back because it just taps into more and more supplies. And not even that, like your demeanor, right? You do one of your best paintings ever and it doesn't go anywhere. And you're like, well, shit, like that ego got hit. And it's, oh, there's another one. Oh, right? The less you do, the more that you don't sell, the more you're like, why should I even go back? Like, am I even making anyone's day better? You know what I mean? So to get comments like that thank me for coming back and doing shows, even when I feel like I shouldn't, and I feel like, oh, nobody even wants my art. Like, why do I even come up and do this? I still try to push through and be happy and excitable, and it's all for you guys, man. I know there's lots of people out there that struggle, and maybe I feel bad for you. If I'm the one thing that brings you happiness, I feel bad for you. But I will still be here as often as I possibly can. Even when I don't feel like I should, or I feel like maybe I should save my supplies because nobody wants to get this, or nobody's, you start getting that self-doubt, and then that's a killer for an artist. You can't have doubt, right? No doubt. I think that was a band back in 1970, 80, 90. Way back when. All right, let's come back in. We're going to grab our smaller brush, and that way it's going to make our trees that much better. I'm telling you. Just telling you. Thanks for becoming a member of the team. Appreciate you. Appreciate you guys. You guys are amazing. Thank you for the gifts. You guys are awesome. You're fantabulous. I just love yous. always, I try to stay positive, even though I might be having a day, or, you know, everybody has days. Everybody has days every now and then, right? So what, I'm special? No, of course not. Gotta get up here and perform, because as somebody, this might make their day. Just me getting up here and being on their screen just might make their day, right? I gotta remember that more often than not, anyway. A little bit more of my pink up here. We're gonna tap onto our side of our tree. It's like a radioactive pink tree. I love it. I love the pinky trees. You see what I'm doing? Just literally tapping and then pulling away. Tap and pull away. Tap and pull away. Whatever deposits. Whatever doesn't. We don't try to force it in there, right? Because then it's just gonna end up looking all funky and too bright. If you try to make it, you know, too high lit, or trying to do too much, you know what I mean? I never try, and I know that sounds bad, but I don't try anything. I'm not gonna try to make it fit into a spot that it just obviously doesn't want to go into, right? The painting will tell you. It'll be like, no, I don't want color right there. No. You'll be like, okay. Or you can try to force it, and in that case, you end up with too bright of a tree. I always say, don't I always say, guys, that I'd rather have you have a small or just a black silhouette of a tree than have one that's too bright or too crazy in your coloring because you lost all your darkness, right? Gotta save that back dark half of the tree. It's what gives it all its roundness, the depth. It's what makes it look round, that dark side. The dark side of the Force, Anakin. You mustn't. You know what? Let's go. I mean, we could go brown, but lame. Let's grab a little of our crimson, a little of our white. Let's mix this guy up. It's not really as red as I want it to be. Maybe some of my madder carmine. Oh, there we go. That's the redness I want. Now, back in here, let's throw in like some blood red tree trunks. Again, by just tapping and letting go. Same thing we do over here, except over here we're doing it multiple times. Over here it's just one tap, one tap. Move on, right? We're just trying to get a little bit of highlight on our trunk, wherever we would imagine our trunk would be, down the center of our tree. So this guy's a little bit thicker, right? You can even pull over to the side a little bit more as we go down. Just don't make it too stinking big. I'm telling you. Telling you from experience, don't make it too big, all right? Now, we've got to get our liquid white, which is a very white running paint. Very much different to all the rest of our paints. Very, very runny. Now, we did the other one in purple and pinks. Let's do this one in blue and pinks. Let's get all of our white off of this guy right here. And you can tell just by running the white through the blue, it's not only changed its color and brightened it, but it's also changed its consistency. It's not as firm anymore, right? That way, we can come off of here, and even if it's just one tiny bit less firm or less dry, more wet than our thicker paint is off in the background, it will attach itself to it. And once it attaches itself, get out of town. Do not sit there in the same spot trying to get more and more and more little branches to attach, right? Hit it and move. Dump it and leave it. Get out of it. It's like a bad relationship. Hit it and leave it. Boom! Over here, baby. Wipe off our brush, clean it off so we don't have too much of our overly saturated saturation. Right? Come back in here into the liquid white, into our blue, tapping it in so you can tell its consistency is different. You're like, okay, those two are different, which means that this guy should stick right onto his little buddy back here. So just with the corner of the brush at first, we're tapping, putting on little pieces, little things. Do not get giant, bright areas like Paint with Josh has, right? You don't want to have your whole tree be covered in all of that blue. Now, in my instance, these guys, I tend to do the whole bottom in the shadow, and then we'll light up a little bit of pink, and then we'll light up all the pink on the one side, showing you that it's trying to catch some of that light out there. Right? Wipe off our brush again, back into the liquid white. Back over here, into the blue, pulling down a little bit of the blue into our lighter color, off the back side of our little trees, and we start tapping and pushing and popping, right? We don't see too many bits of shadow on this guy back here. Not too terribly many. You want to know why? Because he's got a big old massive buddy who's also going to be catching a lot of light, and we want it to shine bright like a diamond. Bang! Just like that. Little bit off his backside. Okay, we're going to wipe off We're gonna load up one more time with our liquid white. And in this part, we're gonna wanna push a little more of our brush onto the thing. We wanna act like we're already down at the base of our trees down here. So by smacking at it a little harder, right? Turning it, rotating it, not trying to hit every single spot, right? Little things out there, little bits of blue. Not every piece has to be covered up, right? Not every piece has to have a spot of blue in it. Really doesn't. Because I'm going to show you when we come back with our highlights just how gorgeous it can be. Just how gorgeous. But we're going to need to get some more of our madder carmine color out. And if you don't know what it looks like, Meaden Madder Carmine. Right there. It's like the new Meaden Crimson color. I love the Meaden Crimson, and when they came out, they said they were getting rid of the crimson. I was like, oh! But they finally they sent me a couple tubes of their replacements for the crimson, and the Madder Carmine I love the most. The other one was called Permanent Red, and it is very red. But this one, there's just something about it. Something about the carmine. I don't know what it is, man. We're gonna need a little bit of that, a little bit of our liquid white. We're gonna come off of our tree, tapping on to the other side of our trunk, right? And then we'll go off of this side, little taps. Little things, right? The more you put on them, the closer it's gonna bring your tree. And in which case, those guys, we want them farther away. So we're doing less and less and less little taps as we go down, right? We're not putting on as many as we would on our closer trees because we want it to be more dark, more further, more distant. Okay, same thing, this little guy. You can tell, seems like there's a lot of paint on the brush, but if we're only touching on the one, you can see how no pink is dropping off, and then we flip it over and no pink. Oh, you gotta kind of push hard into it, get your pink to pop off there. That means that you don't have enough paint on the brush. So even though it still might look usable, you don't want to force it. We're only using the corners of the brush here. The corners are what are creating our little triangle shapes, which is exactly how we're highlighting our trees. It's not the end of the brush, it's the side. It's how everything kind of climbs up the edges. See, even just those two bits of black on the end, that's all that we touched right there. Everything else is untouched. Come out here and start popping it down a little bit more. Now these guys, we can be a bit bigger on our shadowy bits and a bit bigger on our highlighty bits because we're a bigger tree, we're closer up, we can have more details on it, right? It's the whole thing. What do you want to show in your tree? Do you want to have it be too bright? Or do you want to have it be nice and thinned out? Some dark spots, some bright spots. Pop, right? Doesn't have to be a perfect straight up and down split either. Right? I always find like that just kind of doesn't look right. So I tend to come over into my shadows just a little bit, just to help it make it look the tree a little bit more round, right? Now we're gonna come out here and start our slappy taps against our canvas, rocking it, rolling it, right? We can decide how much actually gets lit up. Do you want the whole thing on this side to be lit? Or do you want some of those shadows to go across the side as well? All things that you can change every time you do your painting. You can do it a little differently. And it's going to come out a little different each time that I do one. Right? Never said we're perfect and can do them the same over and over and over again. Never. Never in my life. A couple little bits over onto our shadowy side. Like that. Look a little bit more rounded. Very cool. Very cool looking. Now I've got two more little bushes that we got to put down. Throw some highlights on top of those guys and we'll be all set. But in the meantime, why don't we wash off some brushes? And you guys let me know where you're watching from. What's your favorite sandwiches? You know the drill. You gotta check in. You gotta let old Josh know where you're watching from. What you were doing right before this. Who were you watching before? I was watching the Turtle People because every time I turned my phone on, they seemed to be just finishing up their live right as I'm about to do my second live. So I was watching Mr. T from the Turtles, and he was talking me up like a crazy dude. I love that guy so much. Wants me to go to Tumblr Invasion, man, and teach a class for all the Tumblr makers. I was like, you guys know I don't do cups, right? We're on canvases, right? Like, we do know that. I'm not saying I couldn't paint a cup. Give me an opportunity. I'll paint a cup. Okay, but I don't know that my paints and your guys' cups are gonna work the same, honestly. But we're gonna figure it out. If they, get me to come out there and do a class, I'm gonna go out there and do a class. Gall darn it. That's just what's gonna happen. I don't even know where it is. Where is Polar Invasion? Just tell me it's not in Las Vegas in the summer, because I don't want to go back to Vegas in the summer. Ever, ever, ever again. Ever, ever, ever. After living there for so many years, I do not want to go back. Not in the summertime, anyway. All right. Just... we got a couple brushes left, guys. Like one big old brush left. So, you guys. Man, this one's looking cool so far. I already dig it. I'm already liking it. All right, let's get a little bit of our plaque since we got a little left. We're gonna have to clean up this whole mess right here. Get rid of all this light brightness. We don't want any of the white, any of this bright color to be in our plaque mix. We need it to be very dark. Let's grab some paper towels. Clean down the old palette. Over here, over there. That way. Ah, there we go. Gorgeous. Normally what we do after the paintings have completed, but in our case, sometimes you gotta get dirty multiple times. All right, let's see over here. I feel like I had paint on my face somewhere. Probably. Okay. Let's see. We need a little bit of our plaque mix in order to make our bushies and stuff, right? So what are the 3 colors that we like to mix up in order to make our Paint with Josh plaque? The deepest, the darkest, the most firmest of all colors known to exist in mankind's history. In the history of the universe. 14 trillion billion gajillion years, man. You guys should know by now, I would think. Let's take a little bit of that plaque mix. We'll pop it into our little bushy brush. And let's go right up out of here. Bang! All right, up and above our little horizon, so we can tell that this is now sitting in front of our little guy, out here along the edge of our night. It's fantabulous. I'm gonna take a little bit of his color, pull him down. I'm gonna go back in, scrape up a tiny amount of white, throw our water line back in right here, just like that. Okay, now let's grab a little bit of our brown and our yellow ochre color so we can make some land underneath this little guy. Pop it in over there. Right? Just a lot of thick paint, dragging it about, creating a lot of texture on our little hill off in the day. Right? Now, we're gonna come back. We gotta go right over the top of this guy again and maybe back into here. We pop in another little dude. Right? And with the last amount of our paint, we have to pop in our guy right here and fill all that section up. Right? Leaving a little space of dirt on either side. Now let's clean off our big old bushy brush. Put that guy to the test. Over here. And a little bit of blue, a little bit of pink on the bushies, and we'll be all set, guys. It's gonna be super easy. So, onto one corner of my brush, I'm going to my liquid white and go over into the blue. Just gonna tap onto it. Tapping it, tapping it, tapping. Each time it's going to make the blue a little bit lighter, right? And a little bit wetter, so it will come off the brush a little easier. That's all we're trying to do. That's what the liquid white is for, so we don't have to push so hard, right? If you're pushing so hard when you're trying to attach all of your highlights, it's gonna mess everything up. Right? So let's get that blue, let's wipe it off, at least as much of it off as we can from our one corner. We'll go back into our liquid white on the other corner of the brush, right? Go over here into our crimson-y color, tap into this little bad boy, and then pop-oosh! Look at that! Oh, baby, that's cool. Out here, tapping up into it, along the edge, right? It's catching all the light from our one side. Last final little piece. We probably could use some liquid white just to brighten it up, just a touch-a-reeny. Over here, popping in these over there. Oh, fabulous, right? Not trying to cover over every bit of blue, not trying to cover over all of our shadows, not trying to make all the colors exactly the same. And you get these really cool things that'll happen out there in your scene as long as you're not doing too much, right? Don't do too much. Work harder, or work smarter, not harder. So, guys, you can grab this one. Go to PaintWithJosh.com. It's going to be the very first thing you see. Of course, there won't be a... Oh, is Mr. T here? I was just talking about him. Is he here? Hey, he's here. So, Thirsty Turtle T's my baby. I love those guys. Those guys, Mr. T and Jen, man. I'm telling you, love you guys. Over here. This. Got another bit of our brush we're going to clean off. So they were talking about some tumbler invasion stuff. Me going up there and teaching a class would be really cool. Would be really cool. I mean, we'd have to have like, I might have to hit up Tanisha and be like, hey, we need like lots of supplies. Let's bring this stuff over here. But I know she lives over on that side of the country. But yeah, that'd be a really neat, really cool experience, I think. So you guys got to come up with a title for this painting right here. Let me know what you think. What do you want to call this little guy, right? What would you title it if you had just painted it? If it was your painting, you're like, dude, I just painted this. Now I kind of come up with a title for it. What are you going to call it for the ages, right? And then you get to decide how do you cover the distant trees with cloud or mist without ruining it? Well, you'd have to do it around the base of it, right? We've done it many times on other canvases and stuff. Check me out on YouTube. Got tons and tons of videos over there. But in the meantime, come up with a title for this painting. What would you name it? If you end up purchasing it, you get to choose the name forever, right? Whatever name that you choose goes on the painting. So if you think that you've got the best title out there, head over to PaintWithJosh.com. Grab this one. It's number 1420. One of my favorite numbers, 1420. And it's the very first thing you're going to see. It's only 229 bristles, something like that. We have to say the word bristles instead of the other word. Stupid. So silly that, yeah, who cares? In any case, we'll vent to ourselves later about it, right? Let's clean up the old palette. You guys hit me with some titles. What would you call this one? If you do end up getting it, you get to pick its title. So if you really like it, and if you think you like the best title out there, head over to my store, PaintWithJosh.com. That's my TikTok shop, PaintWithJosh.com. Head over to my TikTok shop, PaintWithJosh.com, and grab this painting right off of the front page, the very first thing you're going to see. Now, let's see. Pretty in Pink, I like. Blueberry Gaze, I like that one too. I like it, I like it, I like it. Fire and Ice. Pretty in Pink, I dig it, I dig it, I dig it. I don't know who I just invited. 1420 Nights. That's kind of cool too. Kind of cool too. Umbro Shorts colors. I feel you. These colors always go well together. They never disappoint. When you put the blues with the pinks, I just love it. Blue Haze, I dig. Blueberry Infused Water. Let's see. I like Blueberry Gaze. I like that. Now, you guys don't want to name it. Nothing to do with Cotton Candy Quarry. There you go. Night Dreams. Tanisha Trees. That's what you call this one. Tanisha Trees. Neon. There you go. There's the winner. I mean, you didn't really win anything, but if I can pin your comment. Thank you to this and that creation. I dropped my pen. That's what we're going to go with tonight. Neon Nights. And remember, head over to PaintWithJosh.com. This one, there will be no photo for it as of right now. Right? While we're still live, I can't just stop the show and take a picture of it and go back and do all that stuff, right? So, head for PaintWithJosh.com. It's the very first thing you're going to see on the website, right? And then you don't even have to do any searching, man. 1420, calling it Neon Nights. Dig that. Dudes, painted on 8/2/2024. We're all going to go to PaintWithJosh.com because I said so. Now get over there. Get over there now. Man, that's pretty. Literally, it's very close to Cosmic's version that we did on a slightly bigger canvas yesterday. I was in love with it, so I wanted to do it again. Thank you, guys. So remember, this one's available. It's in my TikTok shop, and my TikTok shop is PaintWithJosh.com. So if you head over there, you can grab it. I'm gonna get out of here. It's getting way too hot, starting to sweat, and we had a big whiff day today. Didn't sell either painting, which is okay. It's not gonna bother me, right? This is not gonna let it bother me. Not today anyway. So, name came out amazing. Let's throw the signature on this guy, and then we'll say goodbye to all of my best friends, my painting pals, my guys and gals, everybody out there in TikTok land. Over here and over there. Like that. And pop in our last little bit. The one and only caca is whipping down through the sky. Man, cool. Okay. I gotta dry off this brush again. That's the one thing about the liner brush that's a pain in my butt is I like to flare it out when it's done. So what I do is I kind of create a little channel for it to run through. Right? We run it back and forth through this little channel. Sometimes you can flip it around the back, right? Like in and out, like this. There we go. And the more and more that you do it, the more it'll flare itself out. So it's not just a perfect bunch of lines anymore. Right? This is how I want it. And that way I know that every single bristle in there is going to dry perfectly. And then when I wet it back down again, they'll all go back to their perfect liner brush shape. But if one of these bristles dries hard and doesn't dry fully soft all the way, it's going to mess up your brush. So take the time, especially with the liner brush. Dry it out. I'm telling you right now. So you guys have been a fantastic crowd. I love each and every one of you. This one came out amazing. You can get it if you go to PaintWithJosh.com. That's my TikTok shop right over there. PaintWithJosh.com. It's the very first thing you're going to see. Number 1,420. And I can't believe we've done that many paintings in 5 years. That's incredible. Literally incredible. So I love you guys. Head over to PaintWithJosh.com. Grab this painting. Not only this painting, grab other paintings, posters, shirts, hats, all sorts of merch, all sorts of stuff over on PaintWithJosh.com. And until I see you guys again next time, take care. Have the rest of a good day. And bye.